Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to this informal group interview with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I'm speaking on behalf of the Foundation for Universal Responsibility. About 6 months ago, we had set up for His Holiness to be in Delhi for 10 days of teachings, a meditation workshop. In fact, at this very venue, we have been overwhelmed with requests from the press to meet with His Holiness. And he has graciously agreed to squeeze in sometime this morning. He travels back to Dharamsala later today. So I shan't intrude between His Holiness and all of you distinguished members of the media. We're open to any questions on pretty much any subject, but we have 45 minutes, and in order to ensure that a wide range of subjects are covered, may I request whoever asks a question to keep it brief, and we will then move on to, say, 2 or 3 follow-up questions from somebody else on the same theme, and then move to another subject so that a wide range of issues can be covered.
Do you think there should be more international pressure on China now from countries like US and India on the Tibet issue? And had Speaker Pelosi given any assurance to you in this regard when she met you recently?
So, now firstly, I want to thank recent days. I think almost all over the world, many people, many parliamentarians, and many government now really showing genuine concern, genuine interest. So and including media people, I very much appreciate. And also, I think the editorial or certain sort of articles, I think quite often appear. So I very much appreciate. I do not consider people who speak more positive about Tibet. I do not consider pro-Tibetan, but rather pro-justice. Then just this morning, one prayer meeting, many religious representatives participated. So some of you may have curiosity, what is this? So at the prayer meeting, you see the one spiritual brother, you see put this, and you see this. So I really appreciate the different spiritual traditions really showing, I think, genuine, spiritual brothers, sisters, showing genuine sort of spirit of spiritual brothers, sisters, which I totally sort of committed the promotion of religious harmony. Me personally, of course, Buddhist, but equally I respect all religions. So therefore, you see, the people from different traditions really showing genuine spiritual brotherhood, sisterhood. Now your question. Of course, firstly, from my part, no sort of particular statement. I already sort of express or appeal, as soon as this crisis happened, that I think already you know. And then yesterday, I appealed mainly Chinese brothers, sisters all over the world, and particularly Chinese brothers, sisters in mainland China. Because, unfortunately, there's some Chinese, propaganda, they try to create impression we are anti-Chinese. No, certainly not. So, in order to make clear to our Chinese brothers sisters, I made special appeal. And then also, I always telling people the real solution to Tibetan problem must find between Han Chinese and Tibetan. No one else. Of course, our friends, including Europeans, Americans, Japanese, or others, they can help to reach mutually agreeable solution, but real solution between Chinese and Tibetan. So therefore, Chinese community is very, very important. Already there are a lot of sort of what's today, I think, genuine sense of concern and a sense of solidarity already is showing from Chinese community. Some individuals seems to say I saw some internet report. I saw some Chinese individual seems to say very, very negative. This really show that they are anger. These, I feel, are not healthy. They do not know the reality. Therefore, I made this special appeal. And also I express, my concern, not only human rights violation in Tibet, but also in China proper, including Tiananmen sort of the human rights violations. I mentioned these things, and also the farmers. I think thousands of farmers in mainland China. Some appeal or some demonstrations take place. When that happen, then usually it's a suppression. So I express these things. So now you open to your particular question. I think world from the United States and many European countries and also India, they express their concern. Now, what is the best way to help the solution of the Tibetan problem? That's not a symbol. So, and also we have to judge next a few weeks what the Chinese government sort of policy or attitude. So at this moment, I simply want to express my appreciation, particularly on behalf of those Tibetans. I think I can say 6 million Tibetans inside Tibet, and particularly in Amdo area, Kham area, completely isolated. So on behalf of these people, I want to express my appreciation. Then meantime, I also wanted to appeal world community, the Tibetan nation with unique cultural heritage, now actually facing extinction. Usually I describe the Tibet situation is one ancient nation with its unique cultural heritage now actually dying. Usually, since, last few years, a large number of Chinese settlers are coming. And recently, I heard one information. Of course, it's difficult to cross-check. We heard after Olympic, 1 million Chinese going to settle in autonomous region of Tibet. Recently, I met one German television team, you see, who checked the Henry Harrer sort of was the route. So they showed me some picture in the western Nguri side. Previously, no Chinese sort of the settler. Now he showed me picture, New Chinatown, and every bigger village, right? A bigger village in the western Tibet. So these are the clear sort of evidence. The Chinese population in Tibet now, month by month, increasing. So demographic aggression is very, very serious. So already maybe 500,000, maybe already there. Then another 1 million more, you see, come to settle. It's serious. So this I usually describe whether intentionally or unintentionally some kind of cultural genocide is taking place. Intentionally means, you see, there are a lot of restrictions Tibetan study, and also a lot of restrictions in various Tibetan monastic institutions. They traditionally, Tibetan Buddhist culture, very much based on Buddhism. So these monastic institutions is very, very important for preservation of Tibetan culture. Now, a lot of restrictions on this is actually some form of cultural genocide. These are intentionally. And monk and nuns, you see now, political sort of education. Also now, recent years, you see, they intensified. So, that unintentional means because overwhelming Chinese population, then now, for example, Lhasa, the Chinese population over 200,000, Tibetan 100,000. So 2/3 of the population already Chinese. So in the town, in their daily life, shopping, and restaurant, most cases, they have to speak Chinese rather than Tibetan. And we noticed, you see, the Tibetan who born in Tibet, grown in Tibet, but come here, and those Tibetan sort of attitude, and Tibetan who born here, grown here. You see, when we compare, you see, those Tibetan who born here, the Tibetan cultural heritage, Tibetan sort of usual, what called characteristic. You see, the people, Tibetan, who born here, you see, more like Tibetan. They preserve better. Those Tibetan who come from, you see, Tibet, of course, their Tibetan spirit is very, very strong. But their behavior, sometimes a short temper. Although, you see, the Tibetan, generally, I think quite a number of Tibetans, particularly from Kham area and Amdo area, a little bit short temper, I think including myself. So, but even you see, these now much sort of, some kind of, there's clear sign of degeneration. Right? Degenerate. It's a Tibetan, peaceful, compassionate cultural heritage. So this is very, very serious. So the population transfer. Generally, people from, Chinese community in Tibetan area, okay. Even before 1950, they are Chinese. We have very close sort of relations. There's a Tibetan font, so the silk. I don't know. Not brocade. I think silk. Silk. It's a Tibetan, particularly the upper class wear. And including some Lama, you see, they found, they what called silk. So the Chinese shops in Lhasa, they always have this material. So very good relations. So we are not against the Chinese people. And particularly me, personally, I'm Buddhist. You see, in the Buddhist practice, we pray entire sentient being. No discrimination. Even human being and animal. No discrimination. And among human beings, at least on this planet, 6 billion human beings, all same. Like that. So, next question.
If you'll identify yourself before you ask a question, please. 21, microphone here.
My name is Mark Zawadzki. I'm from Russian magazine based in Hong Kong. I would like to ask you about other voices within Tibetan community in exile. I personally interviewed some activists from Tibetan Youth Congress, and they are, in a way, more radical, taking more radical approach, like towards the resolving of Tibet problem, like comparing to your approach. So my question will be, how influential are those voices within Tibetan community, and can you envision the future when those voices will try to challenge your middle path approach and try to, to go on with their request for full independence? Thank you very much.
That's our approach. Usually, in recent time, I use the word we, because since 2001, we already have elected political leadership. So the final decision in his hand, not in my hand. So I usually use acting like senior advisor. So I prefer the we. So our approach, I think the whole world knows, except China. The Chinese government still, do not know that. But the whole world knows Dalai Lama not seeking independence. Our approach is not separation, but within the People's Republic of China, for full guarantee about our unique cultural heritage, including our language, and dedicate environment. We need special care. So unless we have meaningful autonomy, you see, we cannot, there is sort of guarantee to protect these things. In fact, about recent years, one Chinese party secretary in autonomous region of Tibet, I think his name, Chen Guiyan, he I think 10 years ago, one time, he mentioned the Tibetan, an ultimate source of threat, because of the separation of Tibet from China, is Tibetan Buddhism, Tibetan culture. So person who have real all power, that kind of view, and under that circumstance, how can protect, how can preserve Tibetan Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhist culture? And then ecology. Now, fortunately, some cases the Chinese government, gives some kind of instruction, right? Instruction, to some, the protection of forest. Previously, the large scale of deforestation took place. As a result, unprecedented flood in China proper, happened. So during, I think, Dorongchin, Prime Minister Dorongchin period, he gives some instruction. So the government level, there are some now sort of positive attitude regarding ecology. But then, unfortunately, some private businessmen, through pocket business, right? What would call that? Corruption, I think, corruption. They reach, these different places and don't care what government instruction, carry deforestations or minings, like that. So therefore, we need meaningful autonomy. And meantime, if our cultural heritage and Buddhist faith and delicate environment protected, then remain within the People's Republic of China is our own interest. Why? Tibet, backward materially, spiritually advanced, I think. What do you think? I think spiritually quite advanced. But the spirituality alone cannot fulfill our stomach, isn't it? Therefore, beside advanced spirituality, we also need material development. For that reason, Tibet remain within the People's Republic of China. We get much benefit. Therefore, our approach is middle way. But right from the beginning, the Tibetan Youth Organization, for example, right from the beginning, very critical about our approach. Now, including my own eldest brother, now I think over 80 years now, nearly 80 years, he once told me, "Dear my younger brother, 14th Dalai Lama, now sort out Tibetan right." As this sort of my eldest brother, I respect him. But as far as political view is concerned about future of Tibet, it's completely different, like that. So, and not only among Tibetan, but also among some of our supporters. I think some Indians you see here, they also, you see, very critical about our approach, middle approach. You see, they always say, independence like that. So now our approach, so far, no positive, concrete result. So the criticism about our approach increasing. So we also find sometimes difficult to answer. But still, we fully committed. In the recent sort of interviews, I made it very clear, we fully committed about this middle approach. So it is true. More and more number now critical about our approach. It is true. It is understandable. You see, they are very much sort of also they concerned about Tibet. So since Dalai Lama's approach failed, then they sort of they are sort of the expression of frustrations now increasing. Yes, next question.
We'll take that, please. Number, what do I see? Number 39. Please identify yourself.
My name is Royden D'Souza. I'm from the TV Today Network.
Huh?
My name is Royden D'Souza. I'm from the TV Today Network, Headlines Today. Your Holiness, in 2000 in Hyderabad, you said, for the first time you used the term cultural genocide when I asked you about the Tibetan cause for Rangsen. You are still talking of cultural genocide.
Yes.
But the Tibetan people, amongst the Tibetan people, and especially among the younger lot, more and more of them are increasingly being enamored by the Tibetan Youth Congress and its more aggressive stance for freedom. The Tibetan Youth Congress has now warned of demonstrations and disruption of the Olympic torch as it passes through New Delhi. What is your reaction on that?
Basically, about Olympic game.
The Olympic torch will pass through.
Now, first, wait. First, you see, regarding the Olympic game in Peking. A few years ago, when you see discussion, the next venue. At that time, I publicly expressed the China, People's Republic of China, most populated nation, ancient nation, they deserve to take host this sort of, the famous game. So still, in spite of these sad events, at the killing Tibetan inside Tibet, innocent Tibetan, lot of suppression. And personally also, you see, they intensified their criticism. Still, my position, same, no change. The other day, one correspondent asked me, is it this, Olympic game? And I mentioned Olympic game will take in Peking, not in Lhasa. So the Chinese people, they feel very much proud of it. So therefore, since we are not anti-Chinese, we really respect the Chinese people's sort of wish or their sort of, their interest. So therefore, I fully committed not against the Olympic game in Peking. So now that what we could torch.
The Olympic torch.
Torch. No, it is part of that sort of game. So my attitude, same. Meantime, a few years ago, when you see that sort of, my expression, my support, full support, that at that time, at the same time, I also acknowledge some of the criticism that from some NGOs, some individuals, that you see they doubt the worthwhile that game take place in China. They criticize the Chinese record of human right and religious freedom, very, very poor record. That also logical. I fully sort of acknowledge that. So therefore, at that time, since from that time now, today, up to now, my stand is same. Support the Olympic game. Meantime, it is very important to remind Chinese leaders or concerned, officials, now in order to be respected host of game, in the field of human right and field of religious freedom and environment, in these fields, the China must improve. Take seriously look in these fields. These are the basis of criticism. So that part must address. That's my view.
Sorry, I can't see it. 33?
Which one?
Please stand up and identify yourself. Can we give him another mic, please, quickly?
Hello.
Oh, that's good.
My name is Rajat Malhotra, and I am from Center for Peace and Spirituality, founded by Maulana Waiduddin Khan. My question to you is, how would you define spirituality, and how can one attain it?
Kharsa. No. Oh. What is the meaning of spirituality?
Yes, yes.
I usually see two levels of spirituality. One level of spirituality with faith. So all these different religious traditions belongs that category. Now in modern time, I think according to today's reality, we need another level of spirituality without religious faith. I think that's important. I usually, call secular ethics. the secular does not mean against religion. According Indian, sorry, according Indian, the secular means respect all religions, respect equally. So, respect all religion, meantime, including non-believer. So now here, spirituality means, I feel, in this sense, you see, there's certain inner value, inner moral principle. We need that. Why? In order to be happy person, happy family, we need certain inner value. Mainly now here, compassion, warm-heartedness. Irrespective of whether believer or non-believer, warm-heartedness is the key factor to bring inner peace. And peace in the family, peace in the community. Now, modern scientists also begin to show genuine interest. Their warm-heartedness, more compassionate sort of attitude brings better health. So, the compassionate mind reduce stress. So therefore, I think now, in secular way, the inner value, these are universal value. And all religions is aiming, improving or strengthening these universal value. But sometimes religious faith also, you see, create a little bit sort of division. We Buddhist, we Hindu, we Christian, we Islam, like that. So, but if we look, essence of all religion, as I mentioned before, all religions, you see, talking compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline, contentment, all same. In the philosophical field, there's big differences. Even within the Buddhism, there are different views, different philosophy. Next.
We'll take 12 here, please. First row.
Yeah, this is Shobhan Saxena from the Times of India. Your Holiness, you've been here for a week. Did you get a chance to meet or talk with any top Indian leaders? Or did you get a message from them?
No.
If not, are you disappointed with their response?
No, my visit, the purpose of visit here, as Rajiv has mentioned, since few months, we already planned, you see, come here, some lecture on Buddhism. So that's the main thing. So then somehow, you see, during this period, you see, some crisis happened, took place in Tibet. But then, I do not want to create any inconvenience or any sort of inconvenience. So, next.
Vijay.
Oh, this, our old friend, yes. Your number is upset. Number 32.
Your Holiness, you have repeatedly asserted that you do not want separation from China.
Yes.
And the Chinese have repeatedly been accusing you of splitism.
Yes.
Now, this has been going on for quite some time. Meanwhile, the Chinese are going on with the cultural genocide, as you have said, and also demographic change in Tibet, leading to complete erosion of the identity of the Tibetan culture. Maybe the Chinese are biding time, but where do we go from here? You have had, your representatives had some rounds of talks also with the Chinese, and yet you have been nowhere near any solution. In this situation, the world would like to know as to how long shall the Tibetans wait, and where are we heading to?
Right from the beginning, I think 86, I think, 86 and 87, my sort of proposal, middle of approach, I think first, 86, I think, in U.S. Congress. Right, 87. Oh, 87. Then 88, Strasbourg. So, right from the beginning, I made clear. Finally, as Jawaharlal Nehru once used to state, up to people, Tibetan people. So, Tibetan people should decide. I mentioned. So, accordingly, I think 93, our contact with the Chinese government completely ceased. So then, I think 90, then 97, I asked Tibetan community, now what is your view? From my part, from our part, the middle wave approach is the best way. But then, no result. So it is our moral sort of responsibility to ask people. So we ask people. So now, at that time, you see, majority of the people, particularly Tibetan, from inside Tibet, through some way, quite a number of sensible Tibetan or political minded Tibetan from within, you see, they support my middle approach. So therefore, we carry still continuously. Then meantime, 2002, we renewed direct contact with the Chinese government. So now, if their approach really now completely failed, then of course have to ask people what to do. And seek advice, some of our supporters who usually you see, prefer independence, including these people. Okay. That's a democratic sort of way. We're fully committed about democracy. So therefore, you see, some of these youth, some are rather sort of, rather sort of tough. So, recently I met some of them, and I made clear, since we fully committed about democracy, so I cannot say to you, shut up. I cannot say. I do not want. It is your right. Express what you are feeling. But meantime, it is my moral responsibility to make clear if you do this kind of sort of action, then consequences, what kind of consequence, possibility of different consequences, that my moral responsibility to make clear to them. So like that. So, including my elder brother, it is their individual right, freedom to criticize. Like that. That's unfortunately the Chinese leaders seem to see they have no such experience. So they do not understand what is freedom, what is democracy. So when you see some people, some Tibetans, you see they're doing certain sort of expression, then Chinese always accuse us, we create these things. Why not control these things? We can't control and do not want control.
On the first row here, Mr. Kranti.
My name is Vijay Kranti. I'm editor of Tibet Desh. Your Holiness, we have been of late hearing a statement in the media by you, which says that if Tibetans don't stop violence, I will quit. Knowing the history of this movement, I think this statement has a big potential of creating confusion. It is giving an impression as if the Tibetans are committing violence and Chinese government is very peaceful. Don't you think this is time you should clarify exactly who is committing violence and in which situation you are making this appeal to the Tibetans?
Actually, you see, this was the I think moral obligation. 1980, I think 1987, uprising happened in Tibet. So the Jonathan Muskie, one of my old long-time friend, I think Observer's correspondent, who also I think China specialist, I think. So he came to see me at Dharamsala and asked me, I think firstly he asked me, why is the Chinese very much sort of criticized to you? Why? He asked me. Then I answered, I'm not acting like yes minister. Then he laughed. Then the next question he asked me, if the situation inside Tibet, the violence become, at that time also, you see, the Tibetan side, I think very peaceful. I remember one incident at that time. The Chinese soldier opened fire. So Benjamin Biche and late Benjamin Biche also you find it very difficult to answer, to response. So Benjamin Biche said, as Chinese official sort of version, the police shot in what call in sky, in air. But then somehow the bullet, you see, hit. I think the special bullet they may have, you see, shot in air, but the bullet found, you see, someone and hit. So at that time, you see, one Chinese soldier's rifle fell down. One demonstrator, Tibetan, pick up, crush, instead of shoot back. This is clear sign, Tibetan, on such sort of serious sort of atmosphere, you see, they practice non-violence. So at that time, I expressed, if violence become out of control, that means majority Tibetan choose violent way, then for me, no other option except resign. It's against my moral principle. We're fully committed to non-violence. Now, this time, obviously, Chinese side, there's gun. Tibetan side, no one, gun, sword. Right. And I think one picture, you see Chinese media is showing, one looks like Kamba. But if you look carefully, his face, not Kamba. And particularly his sword, not usual Tibetan style sword, but Chinese sword. So we heard about few hundred Chinese soldiers. Also we have some photo. We received a few hundred Chinese soldiers. Actually, you see, received monk's dress. Then dressed like a monk. And that layperson looks like, supposed to see,
Pretending.
disguised as a Kamba. But sword, not Tibetan sword. So these, you see, things happen. So Tibetan side seems, I think, strictly following non-violent principle. And I think Tibetan, not that foolish. The violence, almost like suicide. So they simply, you see, express their deep resentment but completely through non-violence. I think our sort of information, so far we get, I think people, and then few occasions, and monks and ordinary people, they should come out with some cases Tibetan flag and my picture, then shoot on the spot. And I think it is some order. In remote area, there is order. Tibetan come out from their monastery or their town, their village, shoot. Such sort of order. In some area, it happened. So Tibet side, it seems, I think, very strictly non-violent way. Just sort of out of frustration. They simply express like that.
Number 15 here.
Arnaud Miguet from France 2, French television. Your Holiness, I was wondering what was your views about the discussions that some of the world leaders have about boycotting the opening ceremony of the Olympics. What are your views? What would you say to them? What would you do if you were in their shoes?
My basic attitude about Olympic, I already made clear. Now this particular sort of question, I think up to them. They also have freedom. Whatever they find is appropriate sort of measure, they will take. I have no sort of authority to say, oh, you should do this, you should not do this. How? Even Tibetan. You see, if I say, oh, like Chinese, do this, do that, this is against my moral principle. I fully committed to democracy. And I'm follower of Buddha. Buddha never said that. Buddha give us liberty. Even, you see, he mentioned, oh, my follower should not accept my teaching out of devotion, but through investigation, through experiment by yourself. So, our master, real master, Buddha, so what's that kind of attitude? Then poor Dalai Lama, of course, you say, have to follow that way. At modern time, democracy, I think wonderful. Look, I always sort of make comparison. The people from China and here, this country, India. India, South Indian, North Indian, East Indian, West Indian, different language, isn't it? And different sort of habit, different food. Except Kashmir, some problem. Otherwise, all these basically different sort of community remain happily one union. Not by force. I think Kashmir is sometimes, I think, little force, I think. But generally, I think because of rule of law and freedom of expression, so some sort of different expression is to come here and there. But let them express. So therefore, India's stability, whatever sort of, some small things happen, it immediately, you see, come out in the newspaper. Sometimes newspaper men, I think, a little, passionate is that, feelings are what do you call it? Sometimes you see sensational.
Yes,
what do you call it? You see, sometimes you see, I think some media, I think, make little sensational, isn't it? No. Otherwise, you see, because of every sort of problem, immediately come out, no serious sort of the problem. Other hand, in China, looks stable, but underneath, a lot of resentment. So the police rule, almost like police state. and rule of terror. It's something very living. So suppose that is the sort of method to unite. It's totally against the President Wu Jintao sort of philosophy. He emphasizes the harmonious society, harmony. So harmony, if you use common sense, harmony must come from heart, not under gun. Perhaps if you treat animal, maybe stick may work for unity, a herd to remain together. We are human beings. With stick, with torture, with killing, how can develop harmony, unity? Impossible. More rule of terror, more harming, right? More hurt, more resentment. That is the source of disunity. I think Chinese leaders should study more about human psychology. Isn't it?
As moderator's privilege, may I urge that we stay with the diversity of questions so that His Holiness can respond. 31 here, please. If you'll raise your hand. Yeah. Can we
Not
change
working.
the microphone, please? And
One microphone, hopeless.
Your Holiness, this is Smita Sharma here from IBN 7 News, Network 18. I'll have to sit and ask, so excuse me. I just wanted to ask you that from both your side as well as from the Chinese sides, different statements have been made through media. You've said that you're willing to talk to them if human rights violations stop. Chinese authorities have said that if you give up on your claim for independence, they are willing to talk. Have you been officially approached for a dialogue, and do we expect to see the two sides talking on a dialogue table in near future?
What we are saying here, we believe truth, reality. So now, as I appeal, just after soon after the 10th of March, I appeal to the world community, please investigate. Particularly the Chinese, you see, accuse me, all these problems started from here. Dalai Lama and the Dalai clique. So now it seems entire 6 million Tibetan become Dalai clique, isn't it? Besides 6 million, where is Tibetan people? I think here, this room also, I think a lot of Dalai clique. Naturally, we have this human mind. So truth, reality. People accept the reality. The pretending a lie. Few days may work, but long run cannot work. So now let people decide what we are saying, whether this is true or what Chinese say true. Please, you carry investigation.
Are you open to a dialogue, sir?
Oh, yes.
The two sides, when should we expect them to be on the dialogue table and talking to each other?
My side open. So now we are waiting. But we have no power, you see, to bring Chinese. I think, accept justice, truth, sincerity. We have no power. People who have gun, they believe they are truly worshipper of gun. So, that's the difficulties. That's why we are appealing to world community. Please help us. Here, I'm here. I think I have a lot of friends all over the world. But in realistically, in practical level, I'm remaining here helpless. Just pray. I really, you see, last, now, about 2 weeks, since the 10th March, I had the sort of same experience which I experienced in 1959 after 10th March. Lot of sort of disturbance, lot of worry, lot of fear, lot of anxiety, like that. So this time also, lot of, on top of that, you see, lecture he arranged. That also is a lot of trouble. My mind is much sort of disturbed. And meantime, you see, have to sort of carry the lecture. But for hopefully now, I think okay. for I think 5, 6, 8 days, or 7 or 8 days. Oh yes.
Ms. Puri here from Outlook magazine with the
I'm Anjali Puri from Outlook magazine. Your Holiness, you mentioned that there should be an investigation.
Where is that?
I'm here.
Stand up.
Oh yes. Oh.
You mentioned that there should be an investigation. Now, for an investigation to take place, the Indian government has to facilitate it.
Huh?
I said for any investigation of the so-called clique and your role, the allegations of your role in the violence, for any investigation, the Indian government would have to facilitate it. Do you call upon the Indian government to facilitate, to play a facilitating role in an investigation? Do you think the Indian government should offer to facilitate an investigation by the Chinese?
I don't know whether India can do or not. I don't know. Please, you ask Indian Ministry of External Affairs.
Sorry, just 1 minute. You'll get your chance. 24 Asian Age.
24.
Hello, His Holiness. I'm Amit Agnihotri from Asian Age newspaper. The recent upsurge in Tibet has taken the Chinese government by surprise, as it has the Western world and the other nations. How hopeful are you of any tangible developments onto your middle path approach so that your goals are realized and hopefully towards a desirable solution?
I don't know. If this crisis planned from here, then we have some responsibility. But this is people's spontaneous sort of expression. Right? I don't know. As you mentioned, the Chinese, I think, are surprised. Right? I think we also here is a surprise. We are unexpected in such things. But I do feel some serious frustration inside Tibet. Now, recent years, is it Tibetan who come from Tibet, and even some have, I think, they very good livelihood in some of Chinese, in like Peking or Shanghai or some different places, and also students who are getting a good education in China proper. And also retired some of officials. Practically, all these people from different walks of life, their expression shows a lot of frustrations. And I heard one occasion, one Tibetan, his age around, I think, 30. So he also is working one department. He told me, and some others also, the people in Tibet, those age beyond 50, 60, they more or less contented. So long, no daily basis harassment. so long, no daily basis or harassment. No harassment on daily basis. Unlike Cultural Revolution or before that. A lot of meeting, a lot of sort of work like that. And also some limited religious sort of freedom. Just you carry rosary and some willow prayer wheels. But then people below 30, 40, in these sort of generation, younger generation, there are indication so long Dalai Lama remained there, we have to follow his advice. That is non-violence. After he gone, then we have to take appropriate action. So such sort of expression, then I really feel some sort of concern. So whenever I met some Tibetan who come from Tibet, I usually give talk. Please concentrate on education and economy and some training. I emphasize always telling them. So now, and certain sort of, certain appeal to local authority and even to higher authority, the facility, education, health. These things, you see, we have every right to appeal. So usually I telling these people, don't say independence. This is too much sort of risk. Usually I always telling like that. So we also is surprised.
42, please. There's only that much time. We're doing our best.
Yeah. Abhisar Sharma from Ashtak Television Today Network. Your Holiness, after the attack on the Chinese embassy in Delhi and then the attack on the UN office in Nepal, do you think that your middle way approach is getting more and more irrelevant considering the sentiment on the ground, number one? And number two, are you disappointed by the Indian government's stand on this issue?
First part.
May I gently urge that we look at new subjects and new questions when you ask them, so His Holiness can
I
answer
think too early to say. My middle approach now completely failed. I think too early to say. Wait some few months. And then second part, Kasa. I think second part, I already expressed. I already responded to some other questions, some other questioners.
If you will please sort of ask a fresh question so that His Holiness has the opportunity to address a new issue. 45, yes.
Are you going to go to Tibet before your death? Are you going to go to Tibet?
Are you going to go to Tibet?
Very purpose why we left Tibet. We not come here pilgrimage. After 10th March 1959, next 1 week, I try my best to cool down the situation, but fail. I think now, in order to answer for this question, I think, please, Kazoda, forgive me, Wandas. Please, forgive me, a bit longer sort of explanation. Okay or not? I think generally, the people want a short answer, isn't it? Without knowing the background. then you can twist it easily. So here, at least 1950, Chinese army entered to Tibet, which controlled by Tibetan government or Dalai Lama's government. Then soon after, even though Chinese army already reached Chamdo, that's eastern capital of Tibet, under Dalai Lama's government. No Chinese influence, no Chinese control, no Chinese office in Lhasa. When I was there, clear. So, according to some legal expert, state when Chinese army entered Tibet, Tibet was de facto independent nation. Now I don't care. It's these past past thing. So they already then 50 already Tibetan army, around 8,000-9,000 Tibetan army already crashed. Then Chairman Mao prefer not go further. Chinese Liberation Army stop at Chamdo. Chinese government prefer Tibet peaceful liberation through agreement. So 1951 May 17-point agreement signed. Then 1954 I went to China as one member of Tibetan delegation for Chinese People's Congress. During that period, I had several meetings with Chairman Mao. Chairman Mao, wonderful revolutionary person. At that time, I developed genuine respect and admiration, admire for him. And I also, learned useful advice from Chairman Mao. At that time, I so much attracted towards Marxism. So at that time, even I asked Chinese concerned official, I want to join Chinese Communist Party. There are old Tibetan communists who joined Chinese Communist Party in early 30s. One my old communist friend, the Tibetan communist, who have injury on the nose, he told me during Sino-Japanese War, he got injuries. So these old Tibetan communists, at that time, they also have full sort of enthusiasm. Now, under the leadership of communists, Chinese communists, we Tibet can build modernize. Full enthusiasm. Then, when I went to China, 1954, 55, I returned. Same road. On the road, the journal, or 18th Division or 18th Army, Chinese Liberation Army, General, his name, Zhang Guohua. He coming from Lhasa to Peking. I returned from Peking to Lhasa. On the road we met. We already know each other. Then I told him, last year when I coming to Peking, this road, I have full suspicion, doubt, fear. Now, after almost 1 year, after 10 months, now I'm coming back with full confidence and admire about Marxism. So, such sort of spirit, full of enthusiasm. Then, 56, beginning of 56, public sort of uprising start from Chinese response, militarily suppressed. Then, most of these old Tibetan communists, most of them come from the Kham area as well as Amdo area. So the uprising start from Kham, then eventually kind of spread out in Amdo area. So these Tibetan old communists then resented to their superior. As a result, all these Tibetan old communists dismissed from various Chinese offices. Some put in prison. One of the communists, his name Punzo Wangyal. Now, because Mel Goldstein, I think professor of which university? Yes, so he wrote a biography of that old Tibetan communist. Now that available, isn't it? They are also mentioned, Dalai Lama have very strong interest about Marxism. Mentioned. Have you seen that book? Oh, Bapunzo, yes, Bapunzo Wangyal. So for example, I think next, almost 20 years in Chinese prison. Right, 20 years, 18 years, including some torture. So that's the story. Then 56, I came India, Buddha Jayanti celebration. I had a long talk, several occasions with Pandit Nehru. And also one occasion, Zhou Enlai and Holum also joined with Indian Prime Minister. One occasion, we all together. Then Chairman Mao promised through Zhou Enlai, through Prime Minister Zhou Enlai, Tibet now reform 6 years postponed. Even after 6 years, can be postponed. Then the Zhou Enlai told Indian Prime Minister, Chinese central government do not consider Tibet as ordinary Chinese provinces. Tibet case, we look special case. So then, while I was in China, I remember very clearly, one day, there's one big meeting. Many officials from different departments. Chairman Mao, usually, you see, Chairman Mao always keep me beside him. So, you see, one occasion, Chairman Mao asking the audience, there must be criticism about Communist Party. So, come out, all the criticism. Then every people remain silent. I think out of fear. Then Chairman Mao, he received some complaint, some criticism from his own village, Hunan. The local officials doing not properly. No. Chairman Mao himself, then you see, they put some of the criticism from his own native village towards some officials. So then he mentioned Communist Party like fish. Fish without water cannot survive. So like that, communist without criticism cannot survive. Wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful. Then one occasion, Chairman Mao asked me whether there is Tibetan flag or not. And little hesitation, I answered yes. Then Chairman Mao told me Tibetan flag must keep beside national flag. So sometimes I telling my friend in Europe, who carries the Tibetan flag, and constantly some protest from Chinese missions. And I asked them, oh, Chairman Mao already. So, and then one occasion, Chairman Mao, told me, one long table. I sit here, Chairman Mao here, then this side, two generals who are who stationed in Tibet. Then Chairman Mao told me, I sent these generals to Tibet in order to help you. If these generals not listen properly about your wish, let me know, I will withdraw. Oh, wonderful, wasn't it? Then another occasion, Chairman Mao, told me, in ancient time, Tibet once great nation. Now you become very weak. We come to help you. And after 20 years, you may develop. Then it is your turn to help us. Chairman Mao told me like that. So with full sort of conviction, full sort of enthusiasm, I returned. Then 56, the one cause of the uprising is sort of reform, unrealistic reform. Reform word, very good. But the way reform, the certain practice, certain way of reform which took place in China proper, same manner started in Tibet area. Tibetan landlords and Chinese landlord different. Russian landlord, or even in India, some feudal sort of system, sometimes it's merciless. Tibetan case, compassionate sort of what's the feudal system. So there's differences. So in any way, the Chairman Mao promised 6 years postponement. At that time, I discussed with Pandit Nehru seriously, including whether I should return or not. I'm thinking to remain in India. Then Pandit Nehru told me, one occasion he came to my place, then Hyderabad house, with copy of 17-point agreement. Then Pandit Nehru advised me, you should return to Tibet. Then, out of 17 points, on this point, you should fight. We should struggle. On this point, you should struggle within Tibet. I listened his advice. I returned. February 1957. I tried my best to carry this work according to Pandit Nehru's advice, and also some freedom fighters' sort of advice. Then situation became worse and worse. 1957, 1958, finally 1959 happened. So 59 uprising, you see, come a lot of sort of event before that, isn't it? So then finally, Tibetan people completely frustrated. And then that happened. So then next 1 week, I tried my best to cool down the situation. But equally determined, both sides, Chinese, every night from 10th of March till 17th, every night Chinese troop movement with artillery. We noticed that. So it is clear, Chinese side determined to strike or crush. And Tibetan side also, I called Tibetan who are in Nobulinga, a few thousand. I asked them, please don't remain here. Should return to their original place. If you want, few representatives can remain. Otherwise, this creates more suspicion to the Chinese. But Tibetan side won't listen. So, two sides, determined. I was in the between. A lot of tension, a lot of anxiety. So then, finally, Lhasa time, 10 o'clock, 17th night, I left Lhasa. Because of that kind of situation. So we become refugee, certain sort of, what's the political issue. Certain are right. So now, question of return must be related with that. I received, you see, a message from Tibet. Some say, particularly old people say, before their death, please come, please return. Then some Tibetan, particularly the younger people, their message, we need you. You should be in the free country. So I remain here not as a leader, but as a free spokesman for Tibetan people. My real boss is 6 million Tibetan people inside. That's my boss. I can do something in free country. If I return without a certain degree of freedom, then no use. So, as soon as certain degree of freedom comes, on the basis of middle wave approach, in 92, I made clear, when certain degree of freedom comes, we all return happily to our own country, then all my legitimate authority handed over to Tibetan local government. And the main responsibility should carry by Tibetan officials who are already inside Tibet. We have no right to ask some governed by us, or we should have some certain sort of privilege. No, we are just a servant of them. Once you see this certain degree of freedom comes, we return. And main responsibility must carry those Tibetans who already working inside Tibet. They know situation much better, and they made a lot of sort of effort. So morally speaking, they have the right. We have nothing. There is no sort of no right to ask them our privilege. So if that day come, then that means meaningful autonomy, remain within People's Republic of China. Then I will be a genuine simple Buddhist monk. Then my devotion, usually I have 3 commitments. Number 1 commitment is promotion of religion, promotion of human value. You touched, you see, without the religious faith, simply the certain moral ethics. I fully committed about that till my death. The second, my commitment is promotion of religious harmony. That also till my death I committed. Now, third responsibility is about Tibet. Now that on that day, then I finish. I fulfill. Even while we remain outside, I already see semi-retired position. So it is possible within next some time I may resign fully, voluntarily, happily. Now here, our political field, every 5 years, we having election. The spiritual side, young, healthy, qualified leadership now coming. So I have no particular worry. They will carry these young, qualified spiritual leaders. They take full care about our spirituality, about Buddhism, about Buddhist culture, and elected political leadership take care about our temporal works, including refugee problems, these things. Then one old monk now should devote more time about preparation of my next life. Isn't it? So there is a long story. Sorry if you boring. Right? Sorry. But I really feel it is useful to know the whole background picture. Then you can see, isn't it? Now, I think almost now, I think more than 1 hour.
So thank you, Your Holiness, on behalf of the gentlemen and
Perhaps
gentleladies of the press.
one last question now. Last question.
Okay. Number 46. Yes.
I'm Somini Sengupta from the New York Times.
Oh.
The Chinese government this week is taking select groups of foreign journalists and diplomats to Tibet. What's your reaction to that, firstly?
Good. I welcome. I express some respected neutral people should go there, investigate thoroughly, with complete freedom of movement, and also there should be some kind of guarantee. Those Tibetans who speak truthfully, no danger in future, then Tibetan will tell. But I think yesterday, I really was surprised. In the Jokhang, while some artificial briefing with these journalists, some surprisingly, some monk, about 30 monks, come, burst, and tear, and express these official the talks are not true. So this I think positive first step. So should continue, and it is not sufficient just Lhasa, but those remote area in outside autonomous region of Tibet, they must allow people go there, investigate. If the people, the neutral one, respected, unbiased people really found all these things start from here, then any punishment on me, I will accept.
Thank you, Your Holiness, on behalf of the entire press corps for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, for your patience, and an apology for all the hands that were raised and I couldn't ask you to ask your questions.